Hi, readers. I just finished one of my most anticipated new releases for 2025, and that was With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. So I wanted to sit down and do a little book review. So I have read Riley Sager's entire backlist. Some of his books I really enjoy, some of them not so much, but it's something about his writing that I just really look forward to every summer when a new book comes out. Even if they're not my favorite books of all time, I always do end up having a good time overall, and I never regret reading them. I was waiting until I finished reading this one, and now that I'm completely up to date with his newest release as well, I would like to film a author ranking video going through all of his books from my favorite to my least favorite. So that will be coming up very shortly. But for now, we're just going to do a review of With a Vengeance. So this book is slightly different than some of his other books. It does have a little bit of a historical fiction aspect to it. It made it feel a little bit different, but not in a bad way. So the synopsis of this one, it says, "One train, no stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge. In 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. Under false pretenses, Anna has lured those responsible for her family's downfall onto a luxurious train from Philadelphia to Chicago, an overnight journey of 13 hours. Her goal? To confront the people who've wronged her, get them to confess their crimes, and deliver them into the hands of authorities waiting at the end of the line. Justice will at last be served. But Anna's plan is quickly derailed by the murder of one of the passengers. As the train barrels through the night, it becomes clear that someone else on board is enacting their own form of revenge, and that they won't stop until everyone else is dead. With time running out before the train reaches its destination, Anna is forced to hunt the killer in their midst while protecting the people she hates the most. In order to destroy her enemies, she must first save them, even if it means putting her own life at risk." So the synopsis of this one, to me, when I first read it a few months ago, sounded really interesting, and I was really excited to get into it. I thought I could talk about first some of the things that I liked about the book, and then I'll get into some of the things I didn't so much like, and then I'll give my final rating. Okay, so the trope of like a revenge story is one that I really enjoy. Somebody trying to get revenge or seek retribution for wrongs that were done to them. I really like that trope generally, and I thought it was well done in this book. So I really enjoyed that element of the story. I also really liked that through the story, it's kind of broken up by chapters, of course, but then also by the number of hours that are left until reaching the destination. So, like, it will say, like, 7 p.m., 13 hours until Chicago. So, those kind of separations really made me feel like I was in the story and experiencing it in real time with the characters. So, I thought that was really fun. I also liked the fact that oftentimes I find that with these sort of like locked room mysteries, there can be a lot of characters, of course, because they have to have all of the characters and have some level of a mystery of who's responsible. But I find that sometimes they are introduced very quickly. Like it'll be like, there's this character, this one, this one, this one, this one. And when it's done like that, you can't really distinguish them in your mind. And I have a hard time keeping track of who everyone is. But what I liked about this one was that he introduced them a little bit more gradually. He would like introduce a character, give you some of their background, their history, a little bit about them, and then the next character. And I felt like the way that it was written really allowed me to absorb who are these characters that are on this train, and I wasn't having a hard time keeping track of them. So that was, I felt, really well done. As far as the plot twists, there were, in typical Riley Sager fashion, there were quite a few in this book, which I did enjoy. Some of them I could see coming, but there were one for sure, possibly two, that I was really surprised by. I didn't see coming, and I thought were really well done, and I really enjoyed the direction that those twists took the story. I'll also say that if you've read Riley Sager's other book, The Only One Left, my biggest complaint of that book was that the twists in that book started very late, and then within a span of like 40 pages, it was just like you got complete whiplash of like every page was a twist, and then it just felt like you couldn't keep track of what was happening and what was going on. And I feel like the pacing of that one really needed some work. It needed to be spread, like the twist needed to be spread out a little bit more. And I feel like he improved on this one. The twist in this one started a little bit earlier so that there was really time, like a twist would come and you'd be able to absorb what was happening and the shock of it, and then another one would come. And I really enjoyed the pacing of this one a lot more than The Only One Left. So that was one of the things I liked about the book. I felt like it wasn't like you read this like 300 pages and then you get 40 pages of twists. It was really like spaced out, of course, more heavy towards the end of the book, but you were still getting twists throughout the middle and the beginning. So now I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I didn't so much like about this book. So when it comes to the trope of like locked room mysteries, it's not something that I typically gravitate towards. It's not one of my favorite thriller mystery tropes. That being said, of the ones that I've read, this one was probably one of my favorites. I find that with this sort of locked room, that everybody that is involved is in this one room, and so I just feel like a lot of the mystery is kind of taken away because you know that one of these people did it. It's just kind of who is it, you know? So I don't too much gravitate towards this sort of like traditional whodunit style of mystery writing. I tend to prefer or gravitate towards books where the mystery is surrounding not so much like who is responsible for something, but it's more about like what is actually going on and what is taking place and solving the mystery in that sense. I did feel with this one that the ending was slightly abrupt. Once they arrive at their destination, I felt like the book just kind of wrapped up really quickly, and I would have liked a little bit more ending and just closure with the characters. I will say that with Riley Sager, he's known for writing really like over the top, outlandish books, and this one is like all the other ones in that sense. Um, I will say you really have to suspend your disbelief for the scenario that goes on in this book. Just there's a lot of moving parts that would have to fall exactly into place for this to actually make any kind of sense. And I get that it's fiction, but I just feel like this one was kind of a bit of a stretch. Not a major complaint. I don't really mind an over the top story, but just something that I noticed. I will say that I felt like this one was a tad too long. Um, for me, thrillers, I feel like the sweet spot is kind of like between 300 and 325 to 30 pages. This one is right at about 380. So I feel like probably about 50 pages could have been cut out and just in the middle specifically. I feel like the beginning was really intriguing, the end was really intriguing, but that middle sort of mystery kind of dragged on a little bit for me, and so I think could have used a little bit of an edit there. My last sort of complaint is I didn't in this book feel very connected to the characters or invested in the characters. I feel like some of his other books, like The House Across the Lake or Lock Every Door or The Only One Left, like the main character just felt like I was more invested in their life and in their story. This one, I didn't feel that as much. I'm not sure if that's just a complaint, like a personal issue that I had with this story, just because I don't necessarily gravitate towards sort of locked room mysteries. But that's something that I noticed. I just wasn't super invested in where the story was going and, you know, what had happened to the character in the past. So, with that being said, I'm going to give my final ranking. So, for this book, I landed on a 3.5 star. I think for me, when it comes to Riley Sager, this one was right down the middle. It was not in my group of least favorites, it was not in my group of favorites, it was completely center. 3.5 stars for me is like an average thriller, but slightly better. Like if it's an average thriller, I'll typically give it a 3. This one was a little bit better than average. So yeah, 3.5 stars felt right for this one. I still really enjoy Riley Sager. I will continue to read every book that he puts out. I also am thinking about, like, he's published, what is it, like 8 or 9, something like that, books under Riley Sager, but I know that he also has published books under his real name, which I think is Todd Ritter. So I'm interested in going back and reading some of the books published under Todd Ritter as well. But as far as his like Riley Sager books, I'm definitely going to be continuing them. And I'm kind of sad, to be honest, that I have to wait a whole nother year until we get a new one. But I'm very excited. I always feel like Riley Sager's releases, they always come out right at the beginning of the summer and they just kind of kickstart summer thriller season for me. And I love it. I'm here for it. I had a good time. I'm super happy that I got this copy. I got it from my library pretty quickly after it was released. It's like one of those 7-day loans, and I just like devoured this book in like 2.5 days. So I finished it. I'm going to return it back so the next person in line can get it. I would definitely recommend it. I think overall, if you enjoy Riley Sager, I would recommend it. If you enjoy locked room mysteries, I would recommend it. Also, if you enjoy books that are a little bit outlandish or crazy, you probably will like this one. So I would definitely say pick this one up. It's a good summer read. Let me know in the comments, have you read this book yet? What was your rating? What did you think of it? If you haven't read it, do you plan to read it? Is it on your TBR? Or also just let me know a little bit about, what are your thoughts on Riley Sager as an author? Do you enjoy his books? Do you not read his books anymore? Like, just interested to know your thoughts on that. I am going to be working on a Riley Sager ranking video. But for now, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment. It would mean a lot to me, and I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye.